remember, it's so funny. We didn't talk about this as prep for the show or anything, but it just came to my mind. Like, I think I asked you this, like, one of the first weeks we were here, because I think I said, like, I just want to start like dancing, like, and I was like, that would be weird. And you're like, no, I love it. And I thought to myself, I've never done that in front of Dan. Like when I have like dance parties by myself, I'm like rocking out on like, just Spotify, but I'm usually alone. I thought to myself, and I asked you the question, like, we've been together now over 2 decades, nearly 20 years. It's
more than 20.
If I can't be my true self around you, how on earth would I be able to be my true self around anybody else?
Yeah.
And I asked you, I said, can you be your true self with me? And you're like, oh, fuck. I don't think you said that, but it's a really deep question. Like, the truest self that I am is in the presence of just me. That's like, I'm no makeup, no done, like I'm eating whatever I want, I'm dancing, I'm like speaking out loud, no one's around me. Like, that's how I think of it. There's also many layers to that, but then you add a person right in your house, add you in the house. I do act a little differently. Add someone I've never met before, you bet your ass I'm acting differently. I'm not dancing around in my underwear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting question. And I don't think that it's necessarily like, I don't think it necessarily deems an answer. It's a contemplation. I think that contemplation is something that will continue as we grow and elevate and transform. Because then when you are able to, I want to rephrase that, when I'm able to come into the truest, authentic form of who I actually am, I do hope that I can begin showing up in that way, probably with you first, and then whoever may grace my presence from there.
It brings up such an interesting question, like, what does it mean to be authentic? Because I thought I knew for a very long time. But what I thought of as being my authentic self was like an impersonation of who I thought I was. And it's like, I feel like the moment I realized that, it kind of blew my mind. It was like, based on anything, like to change the way you show up in the world based on anything is to be inauthentic. It's like to be authentic and like your true self is to almost like be oblivious to everything and spontaneous, and to be like exactly how, like, what does what I'm experiencing make me feel and want to do, and then do it. And that's hard. Or at least that is rare. I'll say it's more rare than hard. But that's very rare. Like most people are, and myself included, trying to accomplish something with everything they do. And it's like to do things and just have absolutely no regard for the outcome and just do it because it's going to be fun to do. Like dancing, singing, whatever it is, just like walking around and being like, oh, it's the bird. I'll stop and look at this bird. Oh, a flower. I'll smell this flower. Oh, look at this. And just like to just be like whatever catches your eye and to be like fully into that thing, not worried about where you're going, when you're going to get there, what time it is, what people, if anyone's watching, if you've ever seen a bird before, like not being like, oh, that hawk is like, that's a hawk. But to be like, no, like that is like this incredible, majestic thing that's like soaring through the air. And I'm just going to watch it because I love to watch like the beauty of this moment. But it's like, as soon as we start to label things, then we think we've seen them before. As soon as we start to associate things with their outcomes, it becomes like a manipulation. and it becomes inauthentic, and we become like this caricature of ourselves. And I think it's really, really interesting where it's like, go back to what I said, like I thought being authentic was, I thought I knew what it was, and it was just like all of the things that I thought were my personality, like open and like, oh, like I dress like this and I do this and I talk like this and this is what's authentic. But like that's not authentic. That's an impression of who I think I am. And it's like kind of consistency, if anything. It's like trying to be consistent more so than authentic. Authentic isn't consistent. It's all it's spontaneous. And I've been really contemplating this a lot lately, and it's like a really, really exciting concept for me to like be fully authentic and spontaneous.
Well, it lends itself to what I was saying before, is that that's how we learn through the relative world. Because when we're able to become aware of what we're seeing in another, whether we praise or judge them, that's what we're seeing within ourselves to better understand who we truly are. Or if we have limited ourselves through something of a lack or scarcity or not good enough or not, fit enough or whatever it may be. I also wanted to touch upon the relationship aspect, but of life. We obviously taped a previous episode about last week about our dynamic and really what happened. But I want people who are listening, like if they're not in a romantic relationship, it doesn't have to be romantic. Life is giving us every opportunity to transform if we're looking for it. And something that really, really, really helped me within the last year is realizing that, actually, the way that I started that is fine. What I realized, I'll get to, the start of this is that everything is energy. Like I knew that, like we talk about that on almost like every show. Like everything is energy. But the more aware you become, the more aware you become. I had that download. It's like, okay, that piece of everything is energy really, really hit when I was able to remove something or someone from a relationship dynamic. So I'm gonna use the example of myself and a girlfriend of mine, so that it's not you. We had like a tiff, I would say a big tiff where we didn't speak for nearly like a year. We were just not in alignment with things, and I felt not listened to, she felt attacked, and it like really upset me for a long time because it was one of my closest girlfriends. And then I heard one day on Peter Crone on a podcast saying that like life's presenting you always with people and circumstances to reveal where you're not free. Free meaning, where have I limited myself in the perception that I hold in some sort of energetic, usually vocabulary based container of I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, I'm never heard, I'm never valued, or I'm under appreciated, or I'm overweight, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to get a promotion. Anything that has like a negation of the truest essence of who we are, like we were saying, the I am statement that is literally infinite and holds infinite possibilities. We limit ourselves within words, a conversation, a narrative, or a story that we hold about ourselves. And then if we just continue that story without life presenting us with an opportunity to be like, that's not right, that's not real, you are valued, you are worthy, you are perfect, you're whole, your weight doesn't matter, your status doesn't matter, you are complete as you are. But usually we don't have people telling us that, and then our identity, the egoic nature, the persona that we've held, just attaches itself to these stories and creates these negations of self. So I realized what was happening in the, tiff, the little fight with my friend, Peter Crone said, remove Sally from the equation. It's not my friend's name, I'm just saying. Remove Sally from the equation and realize it's her energy. She's wrapped in an energy bubble. Like, that's it. Like, you just see Sally as manifest as a person, but she's more than that. She holds an energetic frequency, a signature that is vibrating through words to set you off in a certain way to learn through. And I was like, holy shit, that makes so much sense. It could have been Sally, it could have been Suzanne, it could have been Kramer, it could have been, Philip, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. As soon as I removed the actual body, face, and what I knew her to be, I was able to go deeper and say, all right, what's life showing me here? What is life showing me through this human being of Sally that I'm missing for myself? And it happened to come in an unpleasant situation, but maybe I'm missing something. What is the image that I hold of myself, perhaps, that is constraining me, that is now being reflected back out through this relationship dynamic of Sally and myself? But remove Sally. It's the energy. So what is life showing me? What am I being presented with as an opportunity to know who I truly am and what I've possibly been speaking to myself in a narrative story that I'm perpetuating that maybe isn't going away? And it is, and it was the same sort. No one listens to me. I'm not good enough. People don't think that I know what I'm talking about. It was like that unworthiness. And then boom, the abandonment. And then speak.
Yeah.
Done. Like, right. It was like, oh my God. So regardless of you, it's life. It's that's how miraculous life is. Like, remove all of these things, all of the walls, all of the desks, all of the things, and remove people as well. What situation are you going through? Whether that be a career or finance or something, a health issue. These things aren't somewhat aren't like seen in people form, but like there's still energetic frequencies. It's life. All of this life is there, and it's all connected, as we said. And it was such a beautiful revelation that, oh my gosh, all right, here it is. Life's presenting me another opportunity because I'm not getting it. This happened years ago too, by the way. This was not even anything that happened. It just, I was able to now, again, as I'm elevating, as I've got a different perspective of life and how I've lived, my gosh, this entire time, I've got my own back. Because I know that I'm co-creating with life and everybody around me to show me what I'm missing or what I misidentified myself as.
I'm so glad that you brought that up. I think it is really important to stress that this isn't just a relation, like a intimate relationship kind of thing. It's every relationship. And I think that's like such an incredible exercise of sort of the idea of like just viewing it as energy, and this is life graciously like using this person to present me with something because it's the reality that you are creating. And it's like, it reminds me of like the four
but I want to say that like I didn't realize this years ago, but I started understanding the container that I had, the narrative, the story that I was living in my mind, that my ego made up as part of my identity, that I'm not worthy. When I started breaking that down, we started talking again, randomly. And now we're fine. We're great. I talk to her almost every week. I've seen her, but it was just like, oh, nothing happened other than myself. I gave myself what I didn't even realize I was looking for in her, and that she wasn't providing me, but she didn't provide it to me because I really don't need it from her.
Yeah, exactly.
It was from myself.
She didn't provide it because that's not her job. She was just being herself, and you were seeing the things that you needed to see in that relationship to show you where you weren't free.
Okay, 4 agreements. Sorry.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, don't take anything personal.
Oh.
It's like, it comes full circle. It's like the 4 agreements is like, I read that book so long ago, and it's so simple, and it's like such a beautiful book because it's like the 4 teachings are all so simple, but now it's like the deeper and deeper I go into understanding life is like, oh yeah, obviously, like don't take anything personal because it's all just energy, and it's literally it's just life reflecting back to you what you need, because we're all, I always find this hilarious, and I say it a lot on the show, like we're all like asking for things, and we're like asking to grow, we're asking to accomplish something, and in order to do that, like life isn't just going to give you what you ask for. Life is going to turn you into the version of yourself that's capable of receiving it. So,
and then we get pissed.
Yeah, exactly. That's, I think it's so funny. Like we like in our limited mind, we like believe that we know how things are supposed to go, and it's all supposed to be easy, and it's supposed to be simple, and I'm supposed to get what I want. And then we ask for things, and life's like, yeah, perfect. Stop believing you're not worthy, and you'll get it. And you're like, no, just give it to me. And it's like, but you don't believe you're worthy of it. So life is like, okay, I'm going to present you with enough evidence that you believe this, so you can see it, face it, deal with it, stop believing it. And then when you actually start to believe you're worthy, you're going to receive the things that you wanted. And that's not like, that's anything, whether it's relationships, success, like whatever it is that we're asking for in our life, we're being presented with the opportunities to become the version of ourselves who's capable of achieving them. And then, like you said, and then those things happen, and we're like, this sucks. And then we like don't do anything about it. We're like, we just sit there and like mope about it. Like, no, this isn't what I wanted. But we have no idea what's best for ourselves. So it's, yeah. And it's like life always works in like the easiest way, like the way of least resistance. Like everywhere you look in nature, life is finding the easiest way to make things happen. And we're the ones that complicate everything. So we're like, all right, this is what I want, and it's going to be really complicated, and it's going to go like this, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And life's like, oh, there's a way easier way. Just this is going to happen. And we're like, no, this sucks. It's not happening. Because it's not the complicated way that we wanted it to be. Maybe it sucks, and maybe it's not what we, or it's uncomfortable. It's not what we had in mind, so we're caught off guard by it. But it's like an opportunity to learn that lesson way faster if we treat it like that. If we're like, oh, this thing that sucks is such a rapid way to transform and to grow and to see the world differently. I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to be certain that this is working out for my best interest, and then it does. But it's also, it can be challenging to remember that.
We get caught up and we still want to believe there's that aspect of ourselves, or I believe it is because I've experienced it, that it's like, no, but see, just keep eating more food, you'll feel better. Just keep buying more clothes, you'll feel better. Just keep going different trips, you'll feel better. Go do, like occupy yourselves, like just keep doing things.
Yeah.
Like we also taught, like there's nothing to do but be. And as soon as you can become the version of yourself that you truly want to be, it's almost like the effort is mitigated. It's almost dropped away. Because, and I have gained this from experience, I over effort so much. And I think a lot of us do. Like it doesn't take any effort to be. It takes a lot of effort to do things and to be someone that you're not. And what you aren't is based in a conversation that you're having to yourself. Like, has anybody ever come up to you and been like, Dan, you are not worthy?
No, not at all. Absolutely not.
Same with me.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the both of us believe that.
Yeah.
Like, where on earth did that come from? And is that actually true? Like, if no one said it to me, why do I believe it? And why am I looking for the evidence? Because it doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah, right.
And then I think, like I said, I'll just eat more, or I'll buy some more stuff, or I'll like, and then that tricks you. It's like that dopamine hit of like, oh heck yeah, I got a new outfit, I got this new purse, I got new shoes, I got this fancy new dinner that I'm gonna make, or oh, we're going to this restaurant, ooh, we got this trip coming up, or that, like, all these things that distract us from actually uncovering what led us to believe that I am not the statement. Because the I am statement, like I said, that's the truth, that's the only, that's what's real, that's what's true.
Yeah.
A lot of things can follow the I am, but I think that the general sense, in my perception of it, in my opinion, is like I am like a infinite, boundless, free, creative, loving being.
Yeah, it's like even that doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, we're trying to put into words what can't be put into words. But I think, I'm pretty confident to say that I am not worthy is not what I am. And that's what makes it feel so bad, because our soul, the essence of who we actually are, which is derived from the spirit, just having a human experience, is like, no, that doesn't feel good. Stop saying that. And then, like, you keep saying it, so now I've got to present you with ways to reframe that. I don't want you to think that way anymore.
Yeah.
It's literally our soul calling to us, and we like push it away and like be like, this guy fucked up again, or Ron's such an asshole, look at him, or oh, my friends aren't talking to me again, or this job didn't work out, of course he got the raise and I didn't, or of course my marriage didn't work out. And then we start blaming everybody else and blaming the circumstances. It's like, no, we're all missing the point. I missed the point for almost 40 years. And it's like, I get it now. Or at least I truly believe I got a good portion of it. To say that I've got all of life is not it. But a big part of why we all feel so limited.
Yeah.
I don't think that we came here to this earth either. I was having this conversation with someone. I truly don't believe we came to this earth plane, this realm, this dimension, this frequency, this earth school that we call it, to just like soar through it and like have everything be awesome.
Right.
It's pretty obvious that this is a place to be, and it's hard to be human. I mean, I've heard so many of, channeled lectures, entities that are channeled through humans saying that, like, you're in your friggin' master class, master's degree of being human. Like, Earth is not easy. Like, you volunteer to go there knowing that you are going to have hardships and pain and suffering, and to really truly grasp and transcend that, because we each as individuals have the ability to do that, but it's within us. Nothing external can provide us with what we're seeking to gain from our truest, authentic self, which is the soul within us.
Yeah.
And that soul, all it wants is to be free and not be constrained and tied down to the limitations of the ego. R.J. Steiner so beautifully says the EMI, the ego, mind, identity, which is also electromagnetic interference, which is friggin' genius, because like we always say, it's just energy, as I so beautifully said at the beginning of the podcast, like remove Sally from the equation. It's all energy, it's all vibration, it's all frequency. She just is happening to be in manifest form so that I'm not talking to thin air. That people would think I'm real crazy. Yeah. But that's it. And our electromagnetic interference, that ego, mind, identity, is really confused and thinks that it's separate from everyone, but it's not. It's just the way that we show up in the world, so that we're here graced with the opportunities and lessons to transcend what we came here as doing. Everyone's purpose is unique to their own self. It's a blueprint. Like I'm figuring out mine, or at least I don't even want to use that. Maybe uncovering it, like it's there, it's in me. I came here with it. It's in me. It's just been covered. I feel like I went off on a tangent and I don't really know where I was going. That's right. That's exactly it. The soul has been covered up by this ego and the electromagnetic interference, but it's giving us so much opportunities to learn and grow through, because what it wants is to truly express through us. And that's like you're saying, we think we know what's best.
Yeah.
That portion of us that thinks that knows what's best is the ego. It's the smaller self. And it's not almost allowing the soul to come in because it's afraid and it's fearful. It's like, no, this is me. This is how I'm supposed to be. This is what I do. This is where I work. This is how I speak. This is how I dress. These are all the things. It's like, is that right? Is that true? Am I that way? Do I want to be that way? Do I want to feel this way? Or do I want to think this way? So many people that we talk to, I truly don't believe are happy within their lives. Basically just because the feedback I'm hearing is a lot of complaining or a lot of victimization. Also the first one, I do that and I continue to do that. But that doesn't feel good. And I don't think the people that I'm talking to feel good saying those things, but that's what's chemically being churned in our bodies and emotionally like attached to as just like a reaction that becomes our physiology and something that we're used to, but it's interfering with actually like the joy and the happiness and the childlike innocence and the expansion and adventure that lives so deeply within us, that's trying to come out and be birthed within the vessel of who Elise is, who Dan is.
Yeah, we cling to that identity and the like emotions and the feelings that are associated with it because it's familiar. And what you're saying, like that true authentic expression of like the boundless being that we are is really, really scary to that ego mind identity, to that personality, to that aspect of ourselves that thinks it knows everything. Because it's like the moment that truth expresses, then that ego has no power or no like identity. It's like it doesn't really exist. It's just an idea. Our personality, our ego, is just an idea. And the moment we figure that out, the idea loses its power. Like once we really feel the true essence of who we are. And that's what it will do everything in its power to convince us that it's real by convincing us that we're not limitless. It's like, what a fun game. It's like the game is to go through life and experience all these like experiences that are showing us the next thing to look at and know and like allow and embrace and love about ourselves, because we're everything. As we start to realize that we are everything, then we like, it's hard to even like put into words, like you get to just like see ourselves in everything and love everything, and then like remember more of who we are, like bring more of ourselves in, integrate more of who we are, and realize that it's all us and it's just one. There's just one thing. Everything is the same thing. It's consciousness. There's one consciousness that exists, and there is like endless perceptions of that consciousness, like infinite perceptions. So it's just a fun game.
Yeah, I want to give another example.
Okay.
Hopefully this can like also help with people, because it's like gonna be a person in a situation too, because I've reflected a lot on this as well. My cousin Nikki and her death. So person, situation. I remember having this conversation with you when she died, because she was, other than you, like the closest person in my life. She was my biggest cheerleader. She just supported me endlessly. I feel like she loved me unconditionally. She showed me so much. And I truly did lean on her for so much. Like other than you, she was the person I called about everything. I spoke to her every single day. And if there was a day that I didn't speak to her, it was strange. And I bounced ideas off of her concepts. She was our guinea pig with all of like health and wellness stuff. And just, she was this pillar of someone that I like looked up to, admired, loved unconditionally as well. And boom, she's taken away from me. It very, very suddenly.
Mm.
And so I thought for a while, like, oh my God, all right, she's not there. Like her energy is. So what's life trying to show me without her here? And it took me a while to figure it out because I was probably not in the best headspace for it, but I came to the conclusion, and I think that I told you, or you might have actually said it to me, but it's like, life's presenting me with the opportunity to give myself now everything that Mickey gave me. The unconditional love, the support, the yeses. Because when I thought of that, I said, oh my God, yeah, I don't give that to myself. I require her to give it to me. And it was like, I haven't been that version of Elise. I'm not even sure how to love myself unconditionally. But I'm here for that, I think, as one of the, if not the biggest lessons to learn, to really love myself unconditionally, for us all to love ourselves unconditionally, all the parts and pieces of us. So having her not exist in a manifest form, it's gone. But that energy, that's what I now understand. Oh, the energy that she allowed me to see and feel is still there. And now how can I give that to myself? And I'm gifted again with an opportunity for it to feel just slightly different.
Yeah.
Because I remember what it felt like to get love from her and to have amazing conversations and laugh and talk about someone who would dance all the time.
Yeah.
Her playfulness, and it's like I get to experience that still through the energy of her, but I'm now gifted to give it to myself, and that feels differently, not in a bad way, not in a bad way. I don't mean it in a bad way. It's like, oh, all right, now I'm filled even more, because instead of just getting it from her, I'm now receiving it from her, even though she's not here in manifest form. I can remember the feelings that she gave me. I'm also giving it to myself. So it's like, oh, wow, okay, this is the energy that I'm receiving.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I like that example, because I think it's different from all the examples of like fights with people and like the job that doesn't work out or the relationship that doesn't work out. They're like, you use the same examples all the time, and this is a really cool way of like learning and growing and evolving through.
I didn't want to look at it like that for a while. I think that's why it took me a while, because it was like, I wanted to be mad, like she's here, she's dead, I've lost her, it doesn't make sense, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay too.
That it was a natural part of the process for me, and perhaps a lot of other people that go through the grieving. You do, like, there is that angry stage, the denial stage. I don't get it, it's all confusing, and I mean, I still don't get it, but like, it happened, I can't change it. Now I'm just, again, raising myself, elevating myself to have a different perspective, and okay, and this perspective makes me feel really good. So that feeling like, okay, if it feels really good, even though it's sad to think about, like, that she's not here in manifest form and I can't touch her and I can't hold her hand and hug her, like, the energy's still there, and I've been really wanted to, like, I can sit with that at all times.
It's really cool. It's also like, it's a mechanism that's built into the game and into humanness, where most people at some point lose their parents or lose their grandparents. Like there's that, like, because of generations, and like we all have, like, at some point we all lose that person who we had relied on for so much, and that there is that like energetic, almost like leveling up of like taking on that role.
So then I also, this is kind of like a newer contemplation that I had been working with, because the concept of death
Mhm.
is stringed along within this circumstance. And it's like, okay, what's life showing me here? I've experienced, like, that was the third death technically within a year, in the most, but it didn't hit me like the other two, deaths that were that year didn't hit me like this one. It was just probably because I was in that bigger contemplation. But yeah, like, what is death trying to show me here? And that might be different for everybody. Like, I don't know, because we do hold unique perspectives. So like what I garnered for myself in that situation, like, it's the very real knowing that you're going to die. The manifest form of Elise will die. The energy won't be lost. It's going to probably, hopefully, go somewhere else. Maybe this, back on Earth or a different. But and especially like that ego that thinks it's real, and that part is going to die, and that is scary. And I think like what I was like getting from this, like, all right, what is life showing me here? It's that life is precious and it's meant to be lived. And I feel like at that point in my life when she died, I was very dogmatic. And a lot of the things that I was doing with health and wellness, fitness, food, my mindset, like not being as malleable to like different thoughts and perspectives and having narrow focused ideas and stuff. And I think that truly was perhaps maybe another timeline that I shifted to, or a portal that opened up to be like, oh my gosh, I do not want to be the victim of my stories about life. I want to be the victor now. I want to eat whatever I want to eat. I want to work out the way that I want. I want to be able to say the things that I want. I want to be able to have different perspectives of ones that I had a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, because that was stripped away so quickly that why wouldn't I want to just enjoy life? And who has it all right? Why am I condemning myself and doing these crazy things that worked for someone else? And that, like, is it really working for me if it's not making me truly happy in the way that it is? Or no, but keep doing it, like you're getting there.
Yeah.
Getting to where? Where am I going? Into a perceived future that hasn't happened. I'm creating that. So I'm just perpetuating the future of, I'm getting there, so I'll just continue doing this, and this, and it's got to come at some point, and then boom, you die. And that really hit me. It was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like why haven't I lived life to the way that I actually like know is for me? I'm worthy of having an abundance of health, wealth, love, and relationships, and everything that I thought I wasn't worthy of for so long. Well, what am I waiting for? I literally don't know if I'll wake up tomorrow because my cousin didn't. And it's like, oh my God. And I think perhaps maybe that contemplation and understanding that I think maybe perhaps this is what the energy of death is showing me, that it's inevitable. Fucking live life and do what makes you happy. Be the person that you actually want to be instead of who everybody's telling you to be.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I think it comes back to being authentic. And it's like, we do so many things because we think it's what we're supposed to do, or like how to be a good version of me. But it's like, do we ever allow ourselves to be happy? And what's the point in doing those things if they don't make us happy? Because like the idea of happiness being somewhere down the road, like right now is all that matters, and it's always going to be right now. So if happiness is down the road, then happiness will always be down the road, and it will never be right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we're in, and when I say we, I mean you and I, been in this space for over a decade of health and wellness and taking care of our bodies and all of these things, and longevity, and like the idea of extending our lifespans here. Like I wholeheartedly believe that that's a beautiful concept and something that's really cool, like for people to live to 150, even 200 years. But if you're friggin' miserable,
Right.
is it worth it?
There's a huge balance there between
Right.
like, are you sacrificing your life to live a longer life? Or are you like, it can also swing the other way of like being like completely hedonistic and be detrimental to your life and your health. But it's like, if you can, I don't think that that's actually making people happy either. It's like, I think the things that do bring us joy and happiness also prolong our life, because it's like, it's so nice to feel good. Like, I love feeling good. And that's worth it to me, to like eat really healthy and exercise and be active and spend time in nature and meditate and go to sleep early, because it feels so good and I'm happy doing that. As opposed to like even doing the same things, but not being happy doing it, being like, I have to work out, I have to go to bed so I can live longer, I have to eat this way so I can live like there's people doing literally the same things that I do every day, and they're miserable doing it. And that's how you never find happiness from that path.
No, and that's exactly what we were talking about in the other episode. It's all relational.
Mm-hmm.
How are you relating to how you're eating, how you're working out? Who are you being in that?
Yeah.
If you're being a sad person, an angry person, like, oh, I have to go work out. Defeating the purpose. Like, thoughts become things. Your thoughts matter. It's how you relate to what you're doing. It's how, again, we know ourselves through this relative world. You relate to everything in it. You relate to how you eat, you relate to how you sleep, you relate to your body, you relate to all these things, and you relate to them through the conversation that you have in your own head. I will keep saying this. This has been one of the biggest revelations that has come over the past year or two. It's, I am simply a walking conversation. I truly don't even know who you are, because you are constantly talking to yourself. Probably, I don't know, we sleep for what, 7-8 hours? So like talking to yourself for like 16 hours a day, 15, whatever it may be. But like, you're not speaking to me for 15 hours. You're speaking to yourself, and you're relating to everything in your environment through the dialogue you have with yourself in relation to either that thing, person, circumstance, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what's going to give you longevity. And if it doesn't, then at least try to be happy with what you've got now, because you can't be anywhere else but where you are. And if you can begin to understand, and you want to rephrase that, if I can begin, I always want to come back to me, if I can begin to understand why I think a certain way, then I'll be able to understand why I act and behave a certain way. Then I can begin to understand the feelings of that. It's like that feeling. No, excuse me. If I can understand how I think a certain way, then I can begin to understand how I feel a certain way, which dictates the behaviors and actions that come from those thoughts and feelings that preceded it. And then I can better understand myself. But what happens is those thoughts that we are aware of, they're conscious. We've already come into our conscious mind, but what's beneath them is the subconscious programs that elicit all of these conscious thoughts, i.e., I have to, work out because I don't love my body and I'm afraid other people aren't going to love me. Like, that's what a subconscious thought is. And until we uncover that, we'll never truly understand who we actually are, because that's what's running our lives. When we think we're being the authentic people that we are, not necessarily. We're being driven by the identity and persona that the ego created, but all that's been created literally since the time we came out of the womb, that have become habitual patterns so ingrained within them, within us, in our consciousness, that they're below our conscious awareness, that they're that's what subconscious means, so that we must bring them to the surface, become aware of them, And if we choose to transcend them, change them, transform them, amazing. If not, some of them are good. I mean, you literally can't transform every subconscious thing. You need to, like, I need to remember how to walk, you driving, those are all subconscious patterns. But the ones that we talked about in the previous episode, where I didn't realize I was even parenting you, I just adapted this archetype thinking that that's who I am, but it's actually not. It was a coping mechanism and not truly who I am or who I ever wanted to be.
Yeah.